Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly comic book review. That's right everybody, time for the weekly comic book review. It's the show where I read a lot of comic books and I'll let you know what I thought about them, and we always start with the pick of the week. This week's pick of the week, Middlewest, #1 from Image Comics and Scotty Young with artwork by Jorge Corona. Fantastic book, really enjoyed this one. Scotty Young's been doing some really cool stories, mostly involving children on a quest. This is another one of those, but it's really, really good, and it's very, very subtle. It's set in kind of like a Midwestern type situation. You can tell that this is kind of a personal book for Scotty Young, but there's this underlying tinge of fantasy. It's there. There's a little bit of a fantastical element in it, but it's not pushed to the forefront. It's not what the book is about. The book is about this kid. The book is about this lonely life that he has. The book is about his life, his relationship with his father. This is a really cool, grounded, personal story. It's set in this world so close to our own, but still quite fantasy-driven. Really cool stuff by Scotty Young. He's been doing amazing work. Bully Wars has been cool, but this one is definitely next level for Scotty Young as a writer, as a creative talent in this industry. Middlewest #1 just hit it on all cylinders. The artwork was great. It was fantastic. Beautiful, like I said, fantastical fantasy-based elements, but it's also a really grounded story about a kid and his life in the Midwest. But really cool stuff. There's also like a talking fox, and it's a really cool character a la Salem from like Sabrina the Teenage Witch or something. Middlewest #1 was definitely the pick of the week. Soared high above all the rest. That's it right there. Be on the lookout for it. Let's get to some other comic books. Donny Cates has got a new Carnage book over at Marvel. It's Web of Venom, Carnage Born #1. So if you've been keeping up with Donny Cates on Venom, and if you haven't, you really should, because he's been doing a great job on that title. This is essential to Donny Cates' Venom run, seriously, especially in the last few issues. Some of the revelations we have been given about Cletus Cassidy. This is a really cool story that introduces you to the character of Carnage / Cletus Cassidy, and it also sets up where he's been, what he's been doing, and what he's gonna be doing. This was a really exciting, super fun comic book, really exciting. Thought it was better than the last Web of Venom story, but I did think it was great, but I do think that this is damn near essential. If you've been following the whole Null story and all that stuff, if you're interested in all the new elements that Donny Cates is adding to the symbiote mythology, check out Carnage Born. It's a must-read. Cool cover by Kyle Hotz. There's a variant cover that's pretty hot and fire as well. Speaking of Donny Cates, Marvel Knights 20th Anniversary Specials, #2 out this week. Issue #1 set up a really intriguing mystery revolving around characters that have all taken part in the Marvel Knights imprint of Marvel back in the day, right? So we could talk about Daredevil, Punisher, Elektra shows up in this issue. Little nods here and there to Hulk, Wolverine, Fantastic Four, Captain America. Really cool mystery. Donny Cates has been curating this, if you will. One story, different creative teams coming on. This one we got written by Matthew Rosenberg, a great script. Nico Henrichen doing the art. Fantastic art. Really cool stuff. This is basically what it boils down to, is a little bit of a Punisher story. Really cool stuff. Obviously, Matthew Rosenberg is already writing the Punisher. We'll get to that in just a minute. But Marvel Knights #2 definitely kept the mystery going from issue #1, kept the story moving forward, introduced Elektra. Really cool artwork, a really cool pace to the story. Really good job. Marvel Knights 20th Anniversary #2. Uncanny X-Men #2 is out this week because it's weekly, at least for 10 issues, right? Maybe 12, something like that. Matthew Rosenberg, Kelly Thompson, Ed Brisson doing a fantastic job on this series so far. This definitely, to me, feels like early 90s X-Men in all the best ways. And I really, really mean that. I really think that Brisson, Rosenberg, and Thompson were probably big fans of that era. I've been recently rereading some of that era. All the best parts of it, that's what they're capturing right here. But it's also representing X-Men from all different eras, including from the last 10 years or so. Really cool book. I really like it. An interesting mystery. I love what's going on with Multiple Man right now. It almost makes what Matthew Rosenberg's 5-issue Multiple Man miniseries essential to this. But it should just be you should read it anyway just because it was really cool. But this is really cool. Great dialogue, a great pace through it, a nice usage of all these different characters. Keep them flowing around. For a weekly comic book, it kind of feels exactly what a good weekly comic book does. It keeps you up to date. It moves a lot of the cast around. Moves the story forward a little bit. Lots of big things are promised in this 10-issue disassembled series. So we shall see what happens. But issue 2, I'm liking it. 2 issues in, I'm liking it. Mr. and Mrs. X number 5 wraps up its first arc. This is Kelly Thompson, another writer from Uncanny X-Men. Kelly Thompson's been doing a great job in comic books, especially over at Marvel. Mr. and Mrs. X has completely turned me into a Rogue and Gambit fan. When I was reading some of those aforementioned 90s X-Men comics, Rogue and Gambit weren't annoying to me, and I blame Kelly Thompson for that. Fantastic job with this. Really great in the script. Rogue and Gambit, they've recently gotten married. This is their honeymoon. They're out in space on this crazy adventure with the Shi'ar. So it's got a lot of old school X-Men feels in it as well. Great dialogue, great characterization. Like I said, it takes, it's not so much like, I don't believe in bad characters, because any really talented writer can make me care about any character. Thompson's doing that with Rogue and Gambit. Really fun book, and it hits a little bit of a serious tone, some real grown-up type storytelling, marriage and what comes afterwards. Mr. and Mrs. X number 5 wrapping up that first arc out this week. Astonishing X-Men number 17 is wrapping up Matthew Rosenberg's first and final arc on the series. This is the last issue of the series. Definitely clearing room right now at Marvel for the Uncanny X-Men, the main title. Astonishing X-Men has been really, really fun. Matthew Rosenberg did a great job putting together this ragtag group of X-Men. We got Dazzler, we got Havoc, you got Beast, you got Warpath, you got a zombie Banshee. A really cool, interesting assortment of characters. They worked really well together. Colossus there, Post being left at the altar. Colossus, just sad, depressed Colossus. It's the best. It's great. Astonishing X-Men has been really fun. Had a nice little old school feel for some of those late 80s comics, including the Reavers, for instance. Really cool story, a nice wrap up to the story. Nice characterization, great dialogue. My only problem with this book has been Greg Land, but as far as Greg Land goes, it's actually some of the better Greg Land artwork of recent years, in my opinion. Speaking of Matthew Rosenberg, we've been talking about him a lot. I think he's got a future in this industry, that kid. Punisher number 4 is out this week. Basically, it's Punisher going after Hydra. Really fun stuff. You got some villains reintroduced here. You got a little bit of Zemo, you got some Jigsaw, you got some Chameleon. I haven't seen the Chameleon in forever. Really liking this. Simon Kudronsky doing a great job in the artwork. It's exactly what it needs to be. Gritty, raw, in your face, brutal, violent. That's what the Punisher is. You know, you don't really have to like tug at the heartstrings with a Punisher book. You just got to really tell a good, fun, frank, kicking ass story, and that's what Matthew Rosenberg has been doing ever since he's been taking over Punisher from the last run into this one. Punisher, I'm liking it. We were talking about Kelly Thompson earlier. I think she's got a future in the industry as well. West Coast Avengers number 4 is out this week, written by Kelly Thompson. I'm loving this book. This is fantastic. Stefano Caselli, Trio Farrell. What an amazing art team. Really like the artwork. Oh man, a little bit of that like DC type paper stock in here. Really fun stuff. I really like this book. Really good artwork by Caselli and Farrell. Really great stuff, great dialogue, great characterizations. I was a huge fan of Kelly Thompson's Kate Bishop Hawkeye series. This is definitely the successor to that. Keeps up with the themes, keeps up with the characters, introduces some new elements, and brings back some new mysteries and some old mysteries as well. West Coast Avengers, 4 issues in. I'm loving it so much. Absolutely a fun, refreshing comic book. The Immortal Hulk number 9 is out this week with a really cool, awesome Alex Ross cover, obviously. A lot of people are liking Immortal Hulk. I'm kind of still on the fence about it. I like it and I still don't. I just feel, we were talking about this on the live stream and someone said this and it fit. Like, this book sets itself up to be a horror comic, but I feel like it doesn't 100% fully commit to being a horror comic. At least that's what I feel. It's just a little too superhero-y still at times. This issue kind of felt that way to me, but it was a cool little interesting spin on the Absorbing Man. That's interesting. But Immortal Hulk, I'm not as hyped for as everybody else's is, it seems. I don't know. It definitely deserves a reread. But Immortal Hulk is out this week. Tony Stark Iron Man number 6 is out this week. This book had kind of lulled a little bit for the last couple issues. This one kind of pulls it right back up again. Jeremy Whitley stepping in to do the scripting on this one over Dan Slott's plot. Really Dan Slott's plot. That's cool. Tony Stark Iron Man number 6 was a really cool issue. I liked it a lot. A neat idea, this escape thing that's going on. Tony's new venture, his new product, it all goes wrong. They're building on threads that have been laid down since issue number 1. It feels a little bit like an old school Iron Man book, but it doesn't quite capture the magic that it could. It's all right. It gets a little just bogged down sometimes, maybe a little too verbose at times, but this issue did have a little bit of a better tone, a little bit more of a pickup pace to it. and the artwork by Skitty was really, really good as well. So Tony Stark Iron Man number 6 out this week. Spider-Geddon number 4, it's the penultimate issue. This is going to wrap up at issue number 5. I'm liking it. It's nothing to write home to mom about or nothing, but Spider-Geddon's been fun. At least to me, it's more engaging and exciting than Spider-Verse. Maybe Spider-Verse just took it a little too seriously. This doesn't feel like they're taking it too seriously, but there's already been casualties. It's been neat little stuff, twists and turns, characters betraying one another, characters being more heroic than you would think they would. Spider-Geddon number 4 was pretty fun. I like it. And Spiders-Man is the coolest. Is absolutely the coolest. Speaking of Spider-Geddon, Spider-Force number 2 is here. Seriously, Spider-Geddon number 4 pretty much spoils almost everything that happens in this whole series right here. It's a 3-issue series. Not everything, but part of it. Whatever. Overall, though, Christopher Priest is doing this pretty decent. I really don't care about any of these characters, and maybe that's my biggest problem. It's interesting enough, and the Spaceman Spider-Man, Space Spider-Man, that's really cool. The origin is explained in this issue, and I thought it was really, really neat. But typically, I don't really like Jessica Drew's Spider-Woman. Don't really like Kane that much. I've never really been that big a fan, more of a Ben Reilly fan personally. But Spider-Force number 2 is here. Christopher Priest's dialogue, though, and his pacing of the story, his structure is still very top-notch. That's what he does. Shuri, sister of Black Panther, in case you didn't know. Number 2 is out this week. Really great artwork from Leonardo Romero and Jordi Belair. The story's pretty decent. It's interesting, but it just feels a little stilted at times. Just a little. It doesn't really move. It doesn't have a nice pace to it. It doesn't really like. It's not thrilling. It's not super engaging. I do like this character. I love the art. I love the direction of the story, but the execution of the story just doesn't really grab me 2 issues in, and I don't know if I'm going to come back for issue number 3. Infinity Warps. Right when we think this stuff is ending, another one comes. Ghost Panther. And this one actually really cool. Really cool origin for a Black Panther mashed up with Ghost Rider. I thought it was neat and one of the better of these Infinity Warp stories. But they're just kind of like what-ifs that don't really commit to being what-ifs. Does that make sense? I don't know. But the best part of Infinity Wars to me has been the return of a Sleepwalker comic. Even though it's just a miniseries, this has been fun. It feels old school. If you're an old school 90s Sleepwalker fan, you're going to like this book. It's kind of cool. This whole Infinity Wars thing, though, I'm just ready for it to be done. But I'm glad Sleepwalker's back. And you got a little bit of Darkhawk, because it's the same team of Bowers and Sims that brought back Darkhawk in Infinity Countdown. Give these cats make it 90 Marvel, like 90s Marvel. Just give those cats that book. They'll do it. Let's jump over to DC. First of all, Aquaman. We're going to talk about Aquaman because it's a Drowned Earth tie-in. It does come in the story before Justice League. So if you're reading all the bits and pieces of Drowned Earth, you definitely want to read Aquaman first. If you're on the fence about whether or not you should get it, I think you should always get it because it's an Aquaman comic book. But it's all right. It's decent. It's just one of those stories that's kind of like in between the actual points of the story. So the beginning and the ending are some kind of crucial bits of information, but they fill all that in. And Justice League, it could be viewed as skippable. I'm not encouraging you to skip it, but it could be viewed as skippable. Seriously. But it's all right. It's all right. It's a nice little pondering on Arthur as a character and him having to overcome some things in order to go into this bold new direction that Aquaman's set to go into as the movie launches, and they're going to push the character to be hipper, cooler, more popular, things like that. I mean, Aquaman's already kind of done that. In the New 52 run, we're going to be talking about that in Comics Revisited in the next few weeks. Justice League, though, number 12, is a very essential part to the Drowned Earth story. It is written by James Tynion IV. The finale will be written by Scott Snyder. That's coming soon. That's going to be the Drowned Earth special, whatever, part 2, something like that. But this is cool. Once again, Justice League has just been a really fun, cosmically epic, Legion of Doom terrific type story. Fantastic stuff. Great Legion of Doom moments in here. Great Batman moments in here. Really cool twists into the story. Lots of exposition. A lot of explanation about the 2 newest powers that are being unlocked here with the Graveyard of the Gods and the Tier of Extinction and all that kind of stuff. A lot of that gets explained. Poseidon just does just a bunch of exposition. But it explains a lot of stuff that makes a lot of sense, and they set up this new power set for Aquaman. Which could be very, very interesting. So this is the penultimate chapter of Drowned Earth. Justice League number 12 out this week. Justice League Dark. There's a lot of Justice League out this week. Number 5, Justice League Dark number 5. This has been one of my favorite issues of the series so far. After the witching hour and all that stuff, we have a moment to sit down, chill for a moment, and really take a moment and look at Detective Chimp, his situation right now, and what's going on with that character, while setting up another story that promises to be a little Detective Chimp-centric. Really cool stuff. I do like it. I thought it was one of the better issues so far. James Tynion was like that to me on Detective Comics. Didn't like his initial arc that much when I first read it, but I kept getting more and more into it, went back and reread it and loved it. Definitely going to plan a reread of Justice League Dark soon as I can fit it into the reading schedule. But number 5 is out this week, and I thought it was a pretty decent issue. Really cool characterization, great dialogue, and a nice pace throughout that, and decent art as well. Batman number 59 is here. Tom King's been killing it on Batman, especially since issue 50. This stuff's been amazing. Bane's kind of making his moves. Things are in the air. We're nearing the third act of Tom King's Batman, or what's going to be known as Tom King's Batman. A great spotlight on the Penguin. Great artwork by Michael Janin. Great writing by Tom King. Great dialogue. A great pace. Just a great composition to the whole book, a great structure, everything about I thought this was fantastic. Batman has been so good, and that's seriously one of the best Mattina covers I've seen of late, and it's mostly because of Bane up there in the corner, but man, things are really getting serious in Batman right now. Vertigo's got a new one. It's American Carnage. It's written by Brian Hill. This book is amazing. This book is fantastic. Do not miss out. This book was fantastic. It was almost the pick of the week. It was like right underneath Middlewest for me. Really cool stuff. The artist is, let's find out who the artist is. All the way in the back, isn't it? Could be, yep, Leandro Fernandez, Dean White on the coloring. Really like this book. Really cool stuff. The basic setup is that there's a man. He used to be part of the FBI, and a friend of his who's currently an FBI agent whose hands are tied behind her back convinces him to try to infiltrate this like white supremacist group. He himself is a black man, but he can pass as white, so that gives him the opportunity to put himself in this kind of danger, into this position. Really interesting stuff. Great dialogue. It's very dense. I really do like Brian Hill as a writer and really respect what he does, but this is one of the best issues from him I've ever read it. Sometimes the scripts feel a little sparse at times, right? This was very dense with a nice bit of information, great dialogue, a great pace to the story, amazing artwork. I really like the artwork by Fernandez. It's right there on the cover. Dean White's colors, by the way, are fantastic. They really help spotlight things. It's involving a lot of like things about the current socio-political climate in America. Really good stuff. American Carnage. I highly recommend that book. Fantastic. From Bendis, we got a couple creator owns. Pearl, number 4, is out this week. I haven't really been responding to this one. I think Michael Gaydos' artwork is really beautiful and luxurious, but the story doesn't do anything for me. It's like a very thin story to me. It's just like the tip of an idea. That's what it comes across for me. It seems like it could be cooler, but something about it doesn't grab me or engage me. But one that has grabbed and engaged me has been Cover. Issue number 3 of Cover is out. This is Brian Michael Bendis with artwork by David Mack. This is innovative. This is experimental. This is different. The basic gist of the story is that it's about a comic book artist who has been made a secret agent like the CIA or something like that, right? So he can go overseas to these comic book conventions and be a secret agent, right? Really cool, right? Very simple idea, but the execution of the story, the innovation of and the technique that David Mack and Bendis are using when they're making the story, switching from different styles and techniques, fitting the tone of what certain piece of the story they're telling. Really cool stuff. Great dialogue. Cover number 3. This has been one of my favorites of the year. Archie number 700. Oh man. It's a new direction for Archie again. So just a few years ago, Mark Waid, Fiona Staples, they came in, they relaunched Archie with a new number 1, made it a little bit more of a grown-up story. This basically continues that same tradition, but is a brand new, fresh, jumping on point. Marguerite Sauvage doing the artwork. The artwork in this Archie book is fantastic. It's really, really good. It's Archie. It's everything you know and love about Archie with a tinge of Riverdale. Not a lot of Riverdale, but a tinge of Riverdale. Really interesting ending. Really soap opera-y at times. Very teen soapy. But it works. It's Archie. It's what it's supposed to do. Nick Spencer's writing this. The characters are great. The dialogue is great. The story setup is really cool. The pacing of the issue, the compass, everything about this book was really good. This is one of the best Archie comics I've ever read. Issue number 700. So celebrate with Archie this week. GoBots number 1, a new one from Tom Sicoli. This book was awesome, so fun. I really, really loved GoBots as a kid. I don't remember so much of the GoBot story from the cartoons or nothing, so I don't know how true to all that this is, but this is really, really cool. Sicoli's got a very much like if Kirby as a teenager drawing in the back of a notebook. Right? That's what his artwork feels like to me. He's writing the story. It's fun. It's brisk. It's silly. It's got a great sense to it. Like I said, it's very Kirby-esque at times, and it's the GoBots. It's insane. It's not going to change your life. It's not going to make you think deep or anything like that, but it's going to make you have some really cool artwork. It's going to take you back down memory lane with the GoBots, and it's just going to be insanely fun. And that's what GoBots was for me. Tom Zaccoli's GoBots from IDW. Thumbs up, I loved it. Boombox has a new one out called Smooth Criminals. This one was really, really good. This was definitely a sleeper hit to be out on the lookout for. Anyway, this was really, really cool. It is written by Kurt Lustgarten and Kirsten Kiwi Smith and illustrated by Leisha Rydell and coloring by Brittany Peer. Fantastic book, really cool stuff. It's set in 1999. It's about this computer hacker, lots of 90s references. Me being a 90s kid, really like that. Love that stuff. She's trying to clean out the science department at her school. She sees this machine. She hits a button, and out comes a spy thief, like a master thief from 1969. And then they have to do these misadventures together. Really fun, though. Great artwork, a great pace to the story, great dialogue. It really, really just has a nice execution about it. Really flows very naturally and organically. A great story. Smooth Criminals #1 from Boombox this week. From IDW, we got Night Moves #1. This book starts off very, very promising. The first third of this book was very engaging and I was really excited for it, and then it just completely fell apart for me. Got super muddy and just did not get into it at all after that. So Night Moves #1 definitely is a neat premise. And what is the premise? Am I trying to think of it now? What is going on? Oh, it's like demons and this. Yeah, see, I don't even remember right now. So Night Moves was nothing really exceptional for me. There's a Sukiban Turbo #1. We were talking about this one on the live stream. This one didn't really do anything for me at all. The artwork was pretty decent for the most part, but ultimately the story never engaged me. I didn't really get into the plot. It's about this gang of girls that go around and just cause commotion and chaos. I don't even understand. I didn't even get the gist of the story or why I was supposed to be caring or following it or whatever, so I just didn't really dig this one. Definitely not for me, but it does have some cool artwork at times. Crimson Lotus is a new one from Dark Horse Comics this week, set in the Magnolaverse. I think this is a character from the Lobster Johnson books. I've never read those, so I'm not familiar with this character. It was an interesting story, but I did feel lost by the middle of it, but it does kind of have that typical Mignola pace and flow to it, but it didn't really do much for me because I was rather confused about who this character is. It didn't do a good job of informing me too much, but maybe I just wasn't into it. I don't know, but something about it, it's not as good as some of the other Magnolaverse stuff, but if you're Mignola head, hardcore, definitely want to check it out, but not as good as some of the other ones of late, like Koshki or Frankenstein Underground or anything like that. Black Hammer's got a new issue out this week, Age of Doom #7. This is the final issue with artwork by Rich Tommaso. This is crazy, weird, wild stuff. The big mystery of Black Hammer has been solved, and I'm not going to spoil it for you, but what the book has become has been really weird, really cool, really crazy so far. These last two issues have been nutso. This is a nutso issue too. Gets very meta at times. Really cool exploration on the concept of story. Black Hammer, Jeff Lemire's been killing it, loving it. Speaking of Rich Tommaso, we got a Dick Tracy Dead or Alive #2. Mike Allred, Laura Allred, all the Allreds, and Rich Tommaso. Allred inking Tommaso's artwork. Really cool stuff. Fans of Dick Tracy, you're gonna like it. If you're an old school Dick Tracy fan, I highly encourage you to check it out. You'll revisit it, whether you like the old strips or whether you like the old movie with Warren Beatty. Whatever your fandom of Dick Tracy, wherever it comes from. Me personally, I love that movie and I love that toy line by Playmates. Fantastic stuff. But if you're not a Dick Tracy fan, this is not going to turn you into a Dick Tracy fan, so just avoid it if you're not. But if you're a Dick Tracy fan, definitely check it out. Hot Lunch Special #4 from Aftershock Comics, one of the most overlooked comic books on the rack right now. Elliot Rahal, Jorge Fornes, Taylor Esposito. Fantastic book, great crime drama, mobster, mafia type stuff, but a blue collar kind of way in it, involving this restaurateur family. Really cool, or they're in the food packing industry. Really interesting stuff. It's about when crime enters the average Joe, the average family, and it just keeps escalating and escalating. Some of the best crime fiction movies and stories out there do this, have this type of structure and this type of story. Hot Lunch Special is amazing. Beautiful, amazing, elegant artwork by Jorge Fornes. He does fantastic artist. Love this cat so much. He's got some upcoming work coming. He's got some upcoming work in Batman with Tom King, so be on the lookout for him, a rising star in the industry. Rael's script is great. The dialogue is spot on. The characterization, the family dynamic, everything about this book is top notch. Hot Lunch Special. If you haven't ever checked this out, go check it out. And if your shop doesn't have it, recommend, ask for it, demand it. Exorcisters #2 is here from Image Comics. Issue #2 was better than issue #1. Issue #2 is very exciting. So basically, this idea is, I don't want to spoil too much of the story, but let's just say that these two Exorcisters They have two different personalities, so that's kind of fun, the little odd couple bit. And they go out and they hunt demons and exorcise them, right? Really fun, great. It's got a very adult Archie type feel to it, especially with the artwork. I really do like the artwork. I really like the story. Great dialogue, great flow. It breezes right by. It's very engaging, very thrilling. Great characterization. X-Sisters number 2. Top notch. The New World number 5 is here. This is the final issue of the 5-issue miniseries. I really loved this book when it first started out, and I still liked it, but issue 5, a little weird on the ending, a little rushed, a little out of nowhere, a little quick. At least that's what I think about it. Definitely had to sit down and read this one, all 5 issues in one chunk to see a fuller impact of something. In other books by writer Alesh Kott, like Zero, I thought the same thing. Great book, great story. The what is up with the ending, I'm sure something like that may be going on. Not as crazy and as metaphysical as the ending of Zero, if you're familiar with that one. But New World number 5 had a bit of a rushed and dissatisfying ending, at least for me. And finally, let's talk about Dynamite Comics' Mars Attacks. They're doing some of the best they're doing some of the best Mars Attacks books I've read. And Mars Attacks books are always just silly and fun, right? They're just supposed to be based on this trading card line. The Martians come, they just destroy things, humans fight back, they leave, right? That's basically it. And so most Mars Attacks books just tell little stories about people in the wider Mars Attacks narrative, right? And that's cool, but they usually get very serious with it, right? Or very just super dumb with it, right? This kind of treads that line in between. Really cool indie feel to this book. The artwork is not definitely going to be up to everybody's speed, but I like it. I like the social commentary. I like the quirkiness of it. I like the respect to the trading card line and to the movie and all that stuff. I like these two characters that were following around, this dude and his dad. It's just really fun stuff, Mars Attacks is. So that's what I read this week. That's what I thought about it. What did you read? What do you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for checking out the video. If you're here in America, I hope you have a great Thanksgiving. And if not, I just hope you have a fantastic Thursday. Thank you guys so much for your support of this channel. We really do appreciate it. We're getting closer and closer to 4,000 subscribers. We'll be doing another contest when that does, so please do like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Like I said, another contest when we hit 4,000 subscribers, and it won't be too far away. So thank you guys for everything. Thanks for watching this video. Thanks for rocking with us. I've been Rockin Robbie Billups. Keep on reading.